Even now, after finishing Death Stranding, I can't quite believe it's all over. The bizarre trailers that made no sense at the time, the social media posts, gameplay videos that slowly showed exactly what the game would feature, and every spoonful of information have all finally accumulated into something real. Death Stranding is a remarkable game. There's so much to say about it, and it's not perfect. But one thing I cannot stress enough is that Hideo Kojima is one of a kind. Nobody can craft such a unique story and tell it in the same way that he can, with an ability to offer truly magnificent moments that blow you away and give you an ending that will leave you thinking about it long after it's over. But what actually is Death Stranding? I expected a lot of variety in mission types, but it all kind of boils down to one simple thing: deliver the package and connect the world. I never really thought about it until the game was over, but fundamentally you're taking cargo and delivering it to people across a world in need, ruined by the Death Stranding event, trying to rebuild a country that once stood as one of the world's biggest powers. It's not quite as simple as that, but that's the gist. It's how you do this and how you choose to approach each mission that makes up the meat of your journey. Some people you encounter, like the Elder, won't agree to join the United Cities of America, or the UCA, but he may provide equipment to help you. When you do connect with another prepper, distribution centre, or city that does want to connect with the UCA, you'll unlock everything in that region built by other real-world players. You'll find lots of different structures that others have built available for you to use, and these are absolutely vital in your survival. Generators will help recharge your skeleton suit, truck or motorbike. Timefall shelters will keep you out of the rain and wait until it goes away, and safe houses allow you to fully recover. Additionally, players may have built a bridge that allows you to cross over impassable areas, or spawned a postbox where you can store and collect lots of useful items. Ladders and climbing anchors may also be scattered around connected areas, as well as vehicles and signs providing useful information. You can also build these structures providing you have the right materials on you, and you'll receive likes for your contributions, which help you to level up. You don't get skill trees or ability points or anything like that, but the better your ranking, the better you become as a porter. Other players can give you more likes, better jobs become available, and you'll be much more acclimatized to the tougher biomes you'll find yourself passing through. Likes are a cool way of connecting with other players too. Acknowledging others' hard work, because building is hard work, makes you feel happy to contribute. You'll have to carry metals, resins, special alloys and other materials with you to be able to build, so these structures can't simply be built from entering a menu and pressing a button. Players can also contribute to the world simply by travelling through the same routes in their own game. If enough players walk the same route, the terrain will form a kind of dirt path that makes it safer to travel through when you're next there. Also, you can build highways that become vital for smooth and safe travels, but these take up a lot of resources and time, so it all depends on how much time you want to give to resurfacing the UCA with shiny new roads. The terrain in which you travel across can be brutal. Rivers that can sweep you off your feet, treacherous mountain ranges where boulders can knock you on your ass, snowy peaks featuring horrific snowstorms, rock formations that can only be approached on foot, and deep crevices that can't be crossed without the right equipment. Sometimes you're travelling for long periods of time, and factoring in the best route to get there before setting out is vital to both a safe journey and undamaged cargo. With every delivery you make, you get ranked, and your score depends on a number of factors, such as the speed which you make the drop and the amount of damage the cargo has taken. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, these journeys can be hellish. Forget the toughest bosses in Dark Souls, these are the epitome of cruelty, and my biggest frustrations with Death Stranding. Not everyone is an utter pain, but some will leave you reeling. If you fall when carrying cargo, it can become damaged. Certain packages can't be submerged underwater, others are fragile, so must be carried by hand. As you progress through Death Stranding, it will become easier though. You'll unlock the floating carrier, which can be loaded up with cargo, power skeletons that can improve the amount you can carry, and trucks you can load plenty of stuff onto, but you won't be able to drive across certain areas due to the uneven terrain, so constant micromanagement is the key to making sure you get where you want to go safely. This becomes quite a chore, especially when you make a call to do it on foot, because you may only be travelling a short distance, only to find out you're having to use L2 and R2 to repeatedly balance your weight. A lot of the time you'll start to lean to one side because the weight's momentum is causing you to do so. If you run down a hill too fast or trip over a rock, you have to make sure you don't lose your balance, so using the triggers is something you have to do constantly. It's not so much a pain when readjusting over relatively flat surfaces, but making your way across uneven mountain faces or rocky terrain with the potential to trip at any moment becomes incredibly frustrating. Tripping over will cause you to drop your cargo and in turn damage it, so I'd have much preferred balance just being an automatic thing instead of you having to manage that on top of everything else here. One of your greatest tools is your Ultra Deck, and it helps you scan terrain and see how dangerous certain areas can be. It gives you blue, yellow and red indicators that allow you to cross over safer avenues, with blue being the safest and red being a no-go. This Odradek is connected to your Bridge Baby, or BB, and it also becomes a tool to detect BTs, which is Death Stranding's supernatural enemies when out in the field. Timefall is a weather cycle that manifests in the form of heavy rain or snow, and if you start to see a downpour, it means that BTs aren't far away. Timefall can also damage your cargo, so there's yet another way for your deliveries to suffer a low ranking. Whenever you see your Odradek go crazy under the Timefall, it instills a sense of dread, and for the first 10 hours or so, it is genuinely terrifying. Floating ghost-like creatures hang in the air, and you must pass them by without alerting their presence. Remaining silent means they won't be alerted, but you'll need to crouch and hold your breath for this, or else they're coming for you. Your character Sam's blood has special properties for fighting these enemies, and you'll eventually be able to use anti-BT weaponry to dispose of them. If they do find you, a tar-like substance appears and moaning creatures emerge from it, grabbing you, attempting to pull you under. You can shake them off, but you may drop all your equipment, and if you aren't successful, they'll drag you into a hellish battle against a tar-soaked monster that'll do all it can to kill you. Buildings will sink, as will anything within the vicinity, and deciding whether or not to fight them depends on whether you've got a healthy arsenal. These moments are beautifully staged, but they can be avoided as long as you play it safe. Impatience plays a big role in whether or not you'll evade the BTs, and Kojima and his team know this. When all you want to do is get to the next destination without interruption, you'll more often than not try and escape an impending BT attack. However, clumsiness and ignorance will cause your downfall. They're an amazing enemy, but when you're making long journeys and they show up at the end, death at the hands of them is so frustrating. Your other enemy comes in the form of mules, and they're marauders that prey on the porters of the world. If you go through one of their zones, they will try and steal your stuff, and they're represented by orange outlines on the map, so if they find you, be prepared to either run or fight. You'll gain the ability to try and fry their signals so they can't locate you, but if you find that they're onto you, making an escape can be tricky. Their camps are full of other cargo and equipment collected from other players, and you can choose to loot them or leave them. If you end up killing mules, the BTs can take over their souls and become an even greater threat to you, so the decision to use deadly force also factors into whether or not you want more BTs on your tail. Sam isn't a soldier, so you never truly need to pull the trigger. It gives Death Stranding an interesting dynamic. It means if you want to take your time and play stealthily, you could. It means you can get from A to B without losing any cargo or energy, but it just depends on how patient you are. Holding L1 shows you destination points, but it also lets you check on BB to see if they're okay. Certain exposure to BTs or falling down too many times can upset them and cause them to go into shock, and once this happens, they can't detect BTs. Taking time to rock your controller from side to side to relax them, or playing in a hot spring makes them happy again, as does travelling to your private room. I became emotionally invested in BB throughout, and often found myself doing whatever it took to make sure they were okay. Hearing them laugh or cry through my controller never became annoying, it only highlighted my need to keep them safe. Death Stranding is all about making connections, whether through players, your BB, or uniting the UCA, and it's also a social commentary that shows just how important our connections with one another are. Kojima is renowned for writing some of the most out-there stories ever seen in games, and while Death Stranding is certainly ambitious when it comes to the plot, it actually makes a lot of sense and constantly introduces some fantastic set pieces. It is both bombastic and sentimental, reflecting on a world lost after a cataclysmic event and how those left in its wake try to rebuild a fallen America through friendship and connection. When it comes to the action and science fiction elements, they've got it 100% right. The cutscenes are a thing of beauty, from the flashback sequences to the all-out blockbuster moments. Mads Mikkelsen is by far the game's standout star, both in character and in acting, and his reasoning for doing the things he does are both relatable and terrifying. Death Stranding had me in tears a few times, but as the credits rolled I was an utter mess. The story left a huge impression on me, and I'm still thinking about it even now. The supporting characters are all excellent too. Troy Baker's Higgs is a huge presence, both terrifying and hauntingly understated. Fragile is played wonderfully by Lea Seydoux, becoming a close friend to Sam, and you'll end up empathising with her as you learn more about her story. Guillermo del Toro's Deadman is also a standout character who has his own mental journey throughout the game that you're equally invested in. There really has been so much time and effort put into every facet of Death Stranding that you can't quite believe the level of detail on offer. From the cargo management to structure building, the story to the strand elements, Death Stranding is a behemoth of a game. It's also easily one of the best looking games on the PS4. Character animation is stunning in the cutscenes, and the landscapes are phenomenal. Natural occurrences like the Timefall and Rockslides are breathtaking, and the direction becomes a dream to watch. The soundtrack too is perfect, from the chill out tracks to the haunting musical epics. I can't praise it enough. Death Stranding is an ambitious game featuring so many different systems and ideas, but it never falls under the weight of them all. Whilst journeying across a crumbled America can be hugely frustrating at times, I never got bored of it, and through the powerful story, tense gameplay, and amazing action sequences, this will go down as one of Kojima's best. Taking time to build the necessary structures and adapt to the terrain is time consuming, but making sure you're prepared will make your experience a much better one. Fabricating tons of cool equipment is exciting, especially when you earn the ability to build something new, and the message of connecting people provides an important backdrop for a wonderful game.